Paulie, still alive. 2 tickets today. Bears eliminated last night. What are we down to, 80 people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tickets worth $115,000 each now.
Yeah.
How you feeling? You sleeping well?
Yeah, feel good. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we know what we're going to do moving forward, and I think one pick sticks out as obvious coming up this upcoming week. I have it all mapped out here. I was looking at it driving into it, the stoplights about do you want to use this team or wait to use this team later. Or you don't want to burn them, but it's a fun ride, and that was just. I know our guy Seahawks Sanders is out. He had the Vikings. He tweeted about it.
Feel sick for him.
I know, terrible. But it's like it was a brutal week. So while we ripped people who took the Patriots, it was hard to get there with some of these teams.
Sure.
And if you landed on Minnesota, I can't kill you because I was thinking the only reason I didn't take the Vikings, as I said, was because of the Paul Charchian reaction and that Fields and the Bears knocked me out last year on a Monday night.
Sure.
So I'm like, that would have been nuts if it happened again back-to-back years. But if
Charchian doesn't say that, do you think about taking them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's hard to get there with Will Levis, as bad as Carolina's been.
Yeah.
I mean, he scored 17 points.
Right.
But then again, you're thinking, guys, I can't score 13 points. I'm at home. I mean, that's one of the worst performances you're ever going to see by a quarterback, Dobbs did.
No doubt. Now, the Bears' defense has been better for the last month.
Has.
There's no doubt. You cannot deny that, right? They blew the Lions game. They should have won that one as well. But that performance by Dobbs, I'm like, how are we watching the guy from last year with Tennessee all of a sudden? Where did this go from the last month?
Yeah.
I mean, because it looked good, and it was popping, and it worked, and they threw him into the fire, and I guess sometimes that can work, right? Hey, you had no idea that he was going to go out there, so just go out there and play football like you're a kid again, and it worked against Atlanta, and they won that game. That kind of carried over. This team looked way more efficient and effective against Denver last week on the road.
Yeah, that's the thing. He looked so good against Denver and then Atlanta after they just signed him off the street. But when you watch that performance last night, you say, okay, well, that's why he's been on 20 teams. I mean, 4 interceptions, and then he has Addison wide open for a touchdown. It was also on Addison, too. He couldn't know where he was on the field.
Right.
But that was a horrible throw. And it was so bad that O'Connell was going to put Mullins in. And then now after the game, they have the bye week coming up. Then they come out here to take on the Raiders. It looks like he might make a quarterback change. But I thought they made a mistake by all accounts. Jefferson could have played, but they wanted to be extra careful and wait and give him another week. But I thought also O'Connell had a poor game. I mean, why? It's a 12-10 game. We just watched McDermott take a knee in a 31-31 game and go, I'll go for overtime, even though the Chiefs just needed 13 seconds. It's a 12-10 game, but at the time, what was it? No score? 3-0? He goes for it 4th and 7 in his own territory?
Sure.
And that leads to 3 points? Mm-hmm. And then you get the Fields fumble. You win the game and run the clock out if you get a first down. He goes run 2nd and 10 and a 2-yard pass.
Uh-huh.
Horrible play calling.
They left the Bears entirely way too much time. That game, I mean, first of all, it was an absolute stink bomb. The Vikings, first quarter unders now on the season, 11-0-1. First halves, they've been brilliant to the under. Monday Night Football's another under gets there. That's now 13-1 to the under on the season.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go back, like in the first half, how did the Bears not have a lead of, 17-0, 20-3? How did they not have a 3-score lead? That the stat on Justin Fields last night at halftime, when he threw the ball at the line of scrimmage or behind it 10 times, career high for him, I think tells you all you need to know about the Chicago Bears. And I tweeted this out during the game. I'm like, are they like watching the game at all? Do they have any feel for what's working and what might work compared to what they're running? It was just disjointed. It was discombobulated. It was suboptimal. They were nothing matched what the play calling should have been. And why are you calling this kind of, game with Fields as your quarterback with the bubble screens and the shorts? He's not that kind of a guy. Why do you have no idea who the guy is? It doesn't make any sense what you were watching again last night with this team. Mm-hmm. And when I tweeted that out, I stopped paying attention because every single response was the reason why they don't have a 17-point lead is because it's the Bears, it's Justin Fields, and it's Getsy. And Getsy was like the number one guy to blame.
Yes, I saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not taking a firm hold of this that he's going to be the quarterback of the future. So when it comes down to, you're going to have to take a quarterback. When you sit there, you saw, and they showed it last night, you have the number 1 pick, and then now all things change, maybe the 5th or the 6th pick with the win. But it's, no creativity. But as Aikman said, can you just drop back and throw from the pocket? You don't have that. And then you went out and you got more, too. So it doesn't seem like he's a franchise quarterback, and you're not going to go anywhere with the guy. But it is definitely encouraging what the defense is doing. No doubt about it. But 12 points on the road. And I also thought, why wouldn't you bring pressure if you're Flores? You're waiting for it on the final drive. You have him 3rd and 10.
Sure.
And you let him, and he finally was able to make the long pass and make the play. And set him up for the game-winning field goal.
Right.
So, you're right. It's just everyone complaining on Twitter. It was ugly. It was nasty, but it was an in-play dream again. I can't believe the Monday night football underrun again. Also was Sunday night, as you mentioned yesterday. And who had a better week than Green Bay? I mean, this is you were wrong, and then you were right. You were high on this team coming in. Packers can make the playoffs.
They can.
And they are hot, at least playing well at the right time in a big game Sunday night.
And so this is all you need to know after watching last night's game. And, I mean, boy, did that turn quickly for the Vikings with that performance by Josh Dobbs. Are the Packers legitimately like the 5th best team in the NFC? They're not even in the playoffs right now, but when you look at the standings in the playoffs and who's in right now, I think the Packers at this point are better than the Seahawks. And based on the upcoming schedule, the Packers will surpass Seattle at some point, probably sooner than later in the standings. I don't know what to expect after last night with Minnesota. No clue. The Falcons, you can have them. I mean, think about this for 1 second. If the Giants hung on against the Bills and they didn't blow that ridiculous game against the Jets, this morning the Giants would be in the playoffs. That team would have 6 wins.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because they have 4 wins right now.
Oh, my God.
That's how bad the NFC is. So we opened the show yesterday talking about, that Bills-Eagles game and how wide open the AFC is when you think about Buffalo as the 10 seed, not even in right now. Very good chance they don't even get into the playoffs at this point. The NFC is the exact... can you make a case for anybody? Detroit would be the 4th best team in the NFC. Now, can Detroit win a game or two in the playoffs? Sure they can.
Yeah.
But beyond that... how can you make a case for the Vikings, the Falcons, the Packers, the Rams, the Saints, any of these teams? It's all junk beyond the top 4 teams or so.
Yeah, and we'll get to this coming up. I mean, Dallas would be a double-digit road favorite in a playoff game. That's what we think of Atlanta in the marketplace, too. So that's, again, whoever wins that division is going to get a home game, which is just a joke entirely. But you still had encouraging signs, though, going in. I mean, Paul Allen was on, voice of the Vikings, talking about O'Connell, coach of the year, and they could run the table. And at the time, he was right. They should have won that game in Denver.
Sure.
And Dobbs looked good. And that no call on Jackson turned out to be huge. That resulted in that fumble early on and the no call. But they blow that game that they dominated. And now I didn't see this coming, that he would look that bad and have 4 interceptions, and they couldn't do anything until the Hockenson touchdown.
Yeah.
And you also were staring at no touchdown in the game? Oh, what a sweat that was. 130-1 here and 100-1 in other spots. Will there be no touchdown scored?
Sure. I mean, that was turning into almost like a favorite late in that game until they finally popped one there to Hockenson. But do you think Dobbs is now going to be that guy in every start that he makes moving forward for the Vikings, or
they might make a quarterback change?
That's exactly what he said last night. He's like, I'm going to have to look at Nick Mullins now.
I know. Oh, God. This escalated quickly. I mean, this went from comeback player of the year to right back on the bench, and boy.
Now, I still think that team can be a playoff team just because it's the NFC and teams have to make it.
Right. Well, 2 of the last 3 are against Detroit, and then what would Detroit have to play for in the final game? They're $1.20 at DraftKings. Green Bay's $1.05. Atlanta's $1.35. The Saints are even.
But Vikings out here against the Raiders, winnable, coin flip. At the Bengals, certainly winnable.
Yeah, they had, if you take out that fluke tip that should have been intercepted that Chase caught in garbage time, Cincinnati only had 130 yards.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, definitely winnable game. Browning did nothing.
Here's the thing, though, too, about the total, and we said this yesterday. Now, it was a Monday night game, so that's going to be like the headline, and, hey, another one goes under. Would you bet that over if that was a game on Sunday? Again, it's 2023 football we're talking about. The entire story has been bad offense, low-scoring teams, and unders. How is that game priced at 44? I don't care when the game's played.
Well, you saw it last night. If you watch that game, that's why we're seeing so many unders. both quarterbacks had no time to throw.
Yeah, right.
The offensive line play is so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do if you're running for your life every play? I mean, some of those plays had no chance.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're blowing up immediately.
Yes, exactly right. It's a jailbreak from the get-go. Offensive line's a turnstile. So that's why I think you're seeing this as well. And you saw it right off the bat. What was that? Help me out. Was that an 8-minute drive that resulted in no points?
Yeah.
He missed the field goal.
Missed the field goal right
there
away.
There you go.
Yep.
That's why we're having so many unders. Either I'm not taking the points and I'm going for it, or stuff like that happens.
It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. So coming up next, Paulie will run down more of the betting action from last night and win some, lose some of the bets that came in. There was, quite a winner for me anyway, with a prop very late in the game. You got to love it when this comes in the way it did. And more on Justin Fields. What do you want to do in the draft? Wait until you hear what 8 scouts and executives said about Caleb Williams. We'll tell you that coming up here on VSiN.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.